Okay, it's time now for our focus report and a story on our very own doorstep. After the Paris terror attacks on November the 13th last year, the government declared a state of emergency that's still in place today. Under that measure, police and state officials were given special powers to take action against those deemed to be a threat against national security. Among those powers has been the right to hold people under house arrest. But it's a move that's proved controversial. Human rights groups have condemned the arrests, and those subjected to them say that authorities are mistaken. This focus report comes from Jean Barrère, Noureddine Beziou and Catherine Norris-Trent.
3 times a day, every day, Nicolas embarks on the same journey. 4 kilometres and back to check in at a police station in the Paris suburbs. Morning, afternoon and evening. He's under a house arrest control order.
It takes about half an hour if I'm really rushing, but it can take 35 to 40 minutes. Sometimes I take the bus, but normally I'm on foot. So going back and forth, it takes up a minimum of 3.5 hours a day, plus the time inside the police station signing the forms.
The French government considers him a security risk, suspecting him with his half-brother of running a website in favour of the Islamic State group. He denies the allegations.
I'm the complete opposite of their descriptions of me. When they send me my documents, I feel like they're talking about a different person. That's not me. I know who I really am. My friends and family know too. When I speak about this with everyone, they laugh. When I show them all the paperwork, they say, "This is crazy. When are they going to leave you alone?"
At the beginning of 2016, he was officially investigated for supporting terrorism, but the inquiry was dropped. His house arrest, however, was prolonged, and he lost his job in a shoe shop.
Financially speaking, I have no life. I bought just 1 pair of jeans this year. I was given shoes on my birthday. It's a real struggle. For the past year, I've just been surviving, really. Before, it was hard for me to get by, but now it's much worse.
In total, there are currently 94 people under house arrest control orders in France. Following the terror attacks of 2015, the government introduced a state of emergency, which means such control orders no longer have to be approved by a judge. Authorities insist they're necessary.
House arrest control orders in particular are measures which allow us to prevent public order problems, including or precisely because the information we have is not sufficiently clear to launch legal proceedings. But everything is done to allow for these measures to be followed by a potential judicial phase.
And it's this judicial process that some under house arrest demand. Ali was served a control order back in 2015 because he was the secretary of a radical mosque in the Paris region.
I've been under house arrest for 1 year now, and I've never even met anyone from the intelligence services to answer questions. I think there should be an inquiry, at least into your connections and everything, to clear up the situation. As soon as someone is classified as dangerous, so dangerous that you have to keep them away from others, then put them in prison, get a judge involved, and put them in detention.
Authorities can impose control orders at will, but they can then be challenged in a court. Lawyer Asif Arif has taken on several house arrest cases, working with a Muslim rights group. He tells us mounting a defence is difficult. House arrest orders are based on notes written by French intelligence, which contain neither dates nor sources.
These are suppositions, in fact. They say he might have done this or that. Anything that's contentious is put in conditional terms. So we go to court and we have to defend suppositions.
Asif has managed to successfully challenge a few cases, but for some that's not enough. Sophie, a convert to Islam, was under house arrest for 2 months. She eventually managed to get that decision overturned. But before that, police raided her home. The reason, this tripod, which police mistook in an online video for a weapon.
The police search team from Marseille came all the way here and all they found was this. They quickly realized that all they saw in the video was this camera tripod. For a while we felt persecuted, that they wanted to get us at all costs and that the slightest thing we did would be used against us, even if we've done nothing wrong. Even though it's stopped now, I still have the impression that I've got no privacy.
Sophie is now battling to get compensation from the French state for her ordeal. Meanwhile, Halim has been affected in another way. He used to run a motorbike repair business but has had to sack his 3 employees after a misunderstanding placed him under house arrest.
I'm right back at square one now. It's as though I built my business up for nothing. I'm having to do a lot of manual labor again. I'm carrying motorbikes around. It's given me a bad back. I have back problems. I'm not supposed to be doing this anymore.
The French state has recognised its mistake, but Halim doesn't intend to leave it there. A few days ago, he too launched a legal bid for compensation.
The situation is affecting my family. They're missing out on things we'd already gotten used to. I built everything up myself, with my own hard work and desire to make something of myself. And they came along and undid it all. So I'm asking them to be accountable for that. It's completely legitimate.
France's state of emergency is due to be maintained until May next year, and many house arrest control orders too.
Catherine Norris-Trent reporting there. Well, I'm now joined on set by Asif Arif, the attorney that was featured in our Focus report, who specialises in public liberty. He's also the co-author of a book titled France, Belgium, the Terrorist Diagonal. Thank you very much for being with us here this afternoon on France 24.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you. We saw in that report that you've represented several people that have been placed under house arrest, sometimes successful, sometimes not. How easy has it been to mount a defence in those cases?
I mean, it's very complicated because, you know, when you're a defense attorney in these kind of circumstances, you always have some cliché from police officers, from judge, magistrate, who are actually looking at all this Paris attack also with their own eyes. So you always have some people who will say, oh, all right, you're defending you know, for example, when I call sometimes police officers, they said, oh, you're defending them. But them are person, and sometimes innocent person, and very often innocent person, as has been showed in this documentary.
Just on that note, we saw there in the film the example of Nicolas. He was officially investigated for his alleged links to terror groups. The inquiry was dropped, but his house arrest was still prolonged. How is that possible?
I mean, this is ridiculous. This has been pointed out in the documentary as well. But this is possible because when you adopt the state of emergency, you don't have any leverage from judicial process. There is no judicial process anymore. All the power are given to the state. And the state representative in a region is the préfet. And this préfet has the possibility to make a house arrest for any person he wants, and Nicolas has been a victim of it.
The state of emergency is, though, still in place and is likely to be extended. I'm guessing you're not a fan of it. What would you like to see amended?
Well, I think it can be these little situations can be solved with a proper judicial process, as Ali has mentioned in this documentary. It is totally possible today to ask a proper and equitable judicial process to. In order to focus more on inquiries rather than taking measures with only the préfet because he decided it and he said, okay, I want this person to be housing arrest. So I think the better way to deal with the state of emergency is to stop it and to come back to the normal law.
But of course, defenders of the state of emergency will say that there's still a very strong threat of terrorism in France. What do you say to those people?
I think what I said to these people is to read the criminal procedure code. And in this criminal procedure code, you have all the leverage for the judicial judges to make the proper inquiry and to arrest people who are actually linked with some terrorist organization. So what I said is just to go through the normal law. Now we have to go through the state of law as well. And a state of law said there is a criminal code procedure, you follow it, and by following it, you have all the measure against these terrorist organization and against the person who are linked to it. So it's coming back to the normal.
Okay, Asif Arif, that's sadly all we have time for. Thank you very much for coming in to talk to us today here on France 24.
Thank you.